Jillian Pensavalle.
Oh, hello, Patrick Hines.
Fam, at long last, we are so excited to bring you episode 1 of our coverage of The Curious Case of Natalia Grace. If you don't know this series, it is wild.
We did all 42 episodes, I want to say, or 12 of them. No, so it's 12 episodes. It's 2 seasons, right? It's 6 episodes a piece. And then we did our coverage in 6 episodes, meaning that like the first 2 Natalia Grace episodes are in our episode 1. We did 2 at a time.
Yeah, and it's about this young girl who was adopted by this family. She was an orphan from the Ukraine. She had dwarfism, and they tried to say that she was not 8 years old. She was actually 21 years old, and you can only imagine all of the nonsense, nightmare, insanity that ensued. This is one of the most requested cases we've done on the Patreon.
Yeah, and it's there's a lot there. There's a lot of rage. If you find yourself screaming at whatever device you're listening this on, you know that you are not alone. I'll say that.
So all 6 episodes of our coverage are available right now and ad-free over in the Patreon. It's where you can get over 450 full ad-free bonus episodes of all of the episode-by-episode coverage that we've done over the years. You get it. You can binge it the second you sign up.
Yeah, you know, like Love Has Won, we're doing Quiet on Set, Twin Flames, all that stuff.
Oh my God, the Jinx Part 2.
The Jinx Part 2. She's coming around the mountain. Oh my goodness.
Coming around the mountain.
Yikes.
All right, fam, we love you. Enjoy this ad-free episode, and we'll see you on the other side to say a quick goodbye.
Okay.
Okay, bye.
Natalia was a child.
She was an adult.
She was going to kill everybody.
You've adopted a kid, and now they're trying to kill you. I mean, it's the stuff of a horror movie, right?
Natalia was a victim. The Barnetts are the predators.
I'm charged with child neglect. Is that correct?
When they said not guilty, he looked at us and he smirked. It was like watching my daughter be raped.
In every lie is a hidden truth. But you gotta dig enough to be able to see it. This is my side of the story. Do I look like a monster to you? I want the puzzle to be complete.
This is all the stuff you don't know.
There are things I'm going to tell you that you've not heard from anyone else.
They're heartless cowards. It makes you sick to your stomach.
That's not love. That's hate.
How did they shut these doctors up? How did they hide all this evidence?
Natalia was the instrument to propagate the lie.
I was a kid. You just took their word for it.
You're supposed to be my dad. You're supposed to be the one to protect me.
Natalia really needs some answers. Michael, he needs to put this to rest. You have to dig to get to the truth.
Did you know that she pepper sprayed me?
We're not getting into that subject.
I was never in y'all's room with a knife.
You were going to kill everybody.
What would happen with the knife? I like him.
Where there's smoke, there's fire.
I tried. You still walking free. Leave me alone.
I don't know what the truth is.
I want to know the answers to these questions. Are you sorry? And I want people to pay for what they've done.
So we meet this guy, Michael Barnett.
Boo!
That's an official
Do you
garbage
remember,
belt.
we used to have, I can't remember who we said it about, but I was so mad about someone, and I was like, you know what? There's no Academy Award for Best Acting in a documentary.
Oh, it was John Wayne Bobbitt.
John Wayne Bobbitt.
Yeah.
Fuck him and fuck Michael Barnett.
Yeah.
This guy is a nightmare.
It's wild because his energy right away is really aggressive. It's really offensive. It looks like he's been drinking all day.
It's the Michael Barnett show when it shouldn't be.
But
he's wrong.
It's weird because there's 2 interviews with him here. It's like this one from 2022 and then one from 2019, which is most of episodes 1 and 2.
Yeah.
He is a different person in these
the
2.
energy is the same. Stories are very different.
Well, I don't know. I feel like in this one he's yelling, and in the other one he's kind of calm. I think in the one in 2019 he feels like he's more in control of the story.
That's the one in the red shirt, right?
Yeah. It's like what we mostly get for the first 2 episodes.
Yeah, and we do go back and forth. So he's here to say,
life's great. Been married for about 15 years. We have 3 sons, Jacob, Wesley, and Ethan. Financially, we're doing great. We've got a literal brand new McMansion, 5,000 square foot home in a prestigious town. Got a driveway loaded with cars in it. There's a Lamborghini in my driveway, for God's sakes. We have 13 TVs. We've got 14 couches. There was hundreds of thousands of dollars in the bank account.
Financially, they were killing it. According to Michael, we literally bought a literal brand new McMansion is what they were living in.
What kind of car were they driving?
A yellow Lambo. Well, they were driving 4. Michael and his sports cars.
A Lambo. What does he do for a living? Do we know?
Nope, we have no idea.
Because they're loaded. They've got this 5,000 square foot home, 13 TVs and 14 couches.
Okay.
To which I said, who counts?
Like,
who counts them?
First of all, why do you need all this?
I know.
And number two, do you actually have all this?
Well, 13 couches feels like probably not. Like, where would they all go?
But Michael is one of those people, and you will learn he is infuriating.
Uh-huh.
I don't condone this, except if you're a Nazi, but he has a very punchable face, and I probably shouldn't have said that out loud. But it's just, Michael, like, he probably has 13 TVs, but like 6 of them are like pocket TVs.
But I want to know where the couches are going. 14 couches?
I don't think it exists. Or
No.
it's like a sectional and he's counting it. He's just one of those people where he was like, well, technically it's 14 couches. It's like, he's the worst, right? So he's got like hundreds of thousands of dollars in the bank. Like everything Michael does is over the top. Like, for example, for their anniversary, Michael would get Kristine a dozen roses for every year they've been married.
Yes.
So like for their 10-year anniversary,
It's 120
it's
roses.
120 roses.
That's too much.
Nobody wants that.
No.
And it's like, what are you hiding?
Except for maybe this wife who feels like maybe she wants
She's
it.
a nightmare.
Yeah.
But like, what are you like 100? I don't know. If you love 120 roses, then love it. But I feel like Michael is making everything he says he's making up for something, or he's deflecting from something.
As soon as you put a Lambo in the driveway, you immediately lose credibility with me. Everything is for show at that point.
There are 2 adults and 4 sports cars.
I know.
You can't walk in their driveway.
How do we not know what he does for a living? Like, where does that money come from?
I'll look at it by the next episode. I'll know.
Okay.
So Jacob, their son, is a genius, and
Yes.
that's not a lie. He's an actual bona fide genius,
And he's on the autism spectrum.
Yeah, and he's doing TED Talks, and he's like all about numbers,
Thriving,
and
this
math
kid.
and quantum mechanics. He's one of those kids that's on the news for how smart he is.
Like, literally 60 minutes. He's on 60 fucking minutes.
He's on the Vatican gave him an award for what? I don't know, but he got one at 14 years old.
He gets a full scholarship to Purdue. He can recite pi to like the 29th decimal point.
He's on the news for how smart he is, and he really is smart. Like, Jacob being a genius is maybe the truest thing out of this whole thing.
I was just imagining the opposite of like me being on the news for being so dumb.
Yeah.
And with us on the 6 o'clock hour, Patrick Hines, who's just an idiot.
Who's just eating a pie instead of reciting pie. Just whatever the opposite.
I misunderstood the assignment.
It's the only pie thing I can think of is
just
an
like
actual
dripping
pie.
down my shirt.
Yeah. And Jacob's like,
this kid's real dumb.
Jacob can like make some calculation about it. Like, Jacob is a legit genius. Now, Kristine had a daycare for kids with disabilities.
Kristine's the mom.
So she ran it out of their like house and backyard and garage. And they also started a foundation for parents and kids with autism.
So, like, so far, where's the issue other than the Lambo?
And the 14 couches.
And the 14 couches.
They have like one more couch than they have televisions.
Look, like, they're gauche and they're rich, and so far, like, they're
mansion.
I know
like,
it's nothing I would want, but like, it seems like they're doing good stuff with their money.
yeah, it's a picture perfect life. You know,
Right.
that always goes super well. So Michael explains.
You hate these people.
Hate them.
I know.
I hate them.
It's as though we're covering John and Kate plus 8 or something.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I don't know anything about them, but I know she had the hair.
Yeah, you would hate her. I don't know it either, but I don't think either one of us would like either one of them.
They are not the Duggars. The Duggars
No,
are
yes,
absolutely
yes,
abusive.
yes.
But what are Kate and 8 plus? What John and Kate plus
John
8?
and Kate plus 8, yeah. She was just, well, I
That was
can't-
I know like who they
Yeah.
are, John Gosselin, but I don't know what their issue is.
We know the exact same amount of information.
One of them was on Dancing with the Stars, I think.
Yes,
One of
I
them
think-
tried to do like a Big Brother reality thing.
Why have I not been asked to do Dancing with the Stars?
Why have you not been asked on
Yeah.
it? I don't know.
Is it because I'm not?
I don't know what I think there's a hierarchy, like you have to do
Yeah.
something. But then I think they have like ringers. Like Nicole from the Pussycat Dolls was in it. And it's like, come on.
She's gonna win a Tony next season.
She won Dancing with the Stars. And I'm
She
like,
did.
you can't have a Pussycat
Yeah.
doll. I thought the whole point, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
I can't have Buzz Aldrin
Right.
and a Pussycat doll.
Can you imagine? It should be like Alice and Janney. How great would that season be?
She would never.
I know. No, she would never.
Michael Barnett explains that he had the perfect Norman Rockwell life until Natalia Grace came along.
Yes.
And now Jake, the genius, is here.
He's a grown-up now. We've only seen him in archival footage as like a genius teenager.
Right.
And
And
he's now like living in his dad's
For
basement.
some reason,
Yeah.
he's living in like a bunker in the basement.
Yes.
And now Jacob has been through a lot of trauma.
Yeah, because I want to point out that like Michael says everything was amazing, and then by 2014 he says, quote, I had 14 cents in my bank account, no wife, no kids, no home, no job.
Yeah.
So like, and he's blaming this all on Natalia Grace?
He is.
Okay.
He most
great.
certainly is.
Great.
So Jacob, the stepbrother and Michael's son, like hasn't seen Natalia in over 10 years.
Usually I say Natalia is my adopted sister, so then I guess I would say I'm Jacob, I'm Natalia's adopted brother. But that particular way of introducing myself is kind of irrelevant because I haven't seen Natalia in like a decade. I find the situation incredibly confusing. It's like I want to know what happened, and I want to know the actual truth and everyone's motives, but at the same time, I don't want to remember that.
He's here to tell his side of the story as a kid growing up in this madness, but he also wants to know the truth. Even he doesn't know fully what happened.
Because he says, I used to introduce myself as Natalia's brother, but maybe I don't know the timeline here, but it seems like they only lived together for 6 months.
They didn't live together very long.
No, and that was 10 years ago.
Right.
So he barely knew this person.
But at the same time, all that being true, he also says that he is a little nervous to do this because he doesn't want to revisit the trauma from his childhood. So what happened here?
Right. But like you were saying, it's almost worth it to him to revisit the trauma to get to the bottom of what actually happened.
And he lived it and he doesn't know, which is a major point here.
Yep.
So after 15 years of marriage, Michael and Kristine decide they want to adopt.
Because they say, remember the Lambo and the 15 couches? Everything had gotten so easy that maybe there was room for somebody else. I gotta say, I don't know anything. I've only seen the first 2 episodes, but that is why people go into foster care specifically.
Sure.
You know,
they have 3 children of their own. Kristine has this daycare for children with disabilities.
Yes.
Right now, if you don't know it just seems like they just want to help somebody else.
Yes. And when I was a foster parent and we would go to our meetings, which were mandatory, that was what you always heard. It's older women, specifically, who just had time on their hands and wanted to help.
What are these mandatory meetings?
Oh, trainings and things like that. When you're a foster parent, there's constant trainings.
Right.
Which, honestly, these parents would have benefited from.
Yes.
There's so much about this story that I'm this feels like a foster care situation, but it isn't.
It isn't.
This is a traditional adoption situation. And in the foster care world, you are constantly having to go through training.
Yes.
And so, you're, at least on paper, equipped to deal with kids with, emotional issues.
Right.
And, these parents are not prepared for that in any way.
No. So they adopt a little girl from Haiti, Michael says.
Or they tried to.
They tried to, but then the earthquake hit and then they stopped all adoptions out of Haiti. So they were about to get this girl from Haiti and then they did not.
Yes.
But then out of the clear blue sky, they're contacted by an adoption agency telling them about someone named Natalia Grace.
I don't know. Again, my adoption journey was very different, but right from the beginning, I'm kind of this doesn't feel right.
Out of the clear blue sky is red flag number 1.
Yeah, I mean, now, I will say the folks who go through traditional adoption, you are doing anything you can to get matched with a kid. So maybe there is a thing
maybe
where
there are
agencies...
networks where you're putting the word out.
Yeah.
I take that back.
Well, no. We're thinking this through in real time. But I don't know. I mean, I'm very, I have a lot of questions along the way about how any of this is legal.
Right, because here what happens is the place is called Adoption by Shepherd Care, and it's in Florida.
They say, hey, we know you. We've seen your home study. We know that you have a charity for special needs children. You've been doing that for a decade. We think you'd be perfect for this little girl that's going to be coming to us. She's a little person. She has dwarfism. Now, here's the problem. You got 24 hours to decide. And if you don't come get her on Monday, she's going directly to foster care.
We have the perfect little girl for you. Her name is Natalia Grace. Here's the catch.
Yeah.
You have 24 hours to decide if you want her or not. Or what?
Well, so now that happened to Steve and me.
Okay.
In foster care, where because this is where I'm saying there's a lot of this feels like foster care situations. They're not being mean in my estimation. They're saying we need to place this kid.
Right.
So this kid
Don't waste our time.
Yeah.
Okay.
This kid has come into our care. We need a placement for her right now. You're qualified. You were looking for a kid. If you're interested, she's yours.
Got it.
And that's what I'm trying to look on the bright side. I'm hoping that that's what this was all about.
Okay.
So just to explain that 24-hour window, they're just trying to find a placement, I'm thinking.
Right. And the fact that I'm sure there are networks of people, they were on a list to adopt someone from Haiti.
Yeah.
So, okay, the clear blue sky thing maybe isn't as nefarious as I thought.
And that happened to Steve and me. When they called us with Daisy, they gave us an hour. They're we need to, it's 4 o'clock. We got to place her by the end of the day. You have an hour to decide. I know.
It took you 2 seconds.
It took me 2 seconds.
Yeah, well, it took you 2 seconds. So they take it as a sign from above, right?
Yes.
Oh my God. They go right to Florida to get Natalia. Everyone is super, super excited.
And they bring the kids.
Right.
So they get to Florida with the kids, and Michael says this really stood out to me. They get a rental car, they drive to the adoption agency, and right away Michael is surprised by the location. He says it was in a rundown strip mall, quote, maybe on the wrong side of the tracks. He says it was a little house that had been converted into offices. It didn't look like an adoption agency at all. We're going to get a child here. They are ignoring the red flags.
Right. Don't you continue to ask those questions?
Like, you have experience in this adoption world. I'm assuming you've been working with an agency wherever you're from in Indiana. Like, something about this right away feels off to you, but you're not asking any questions.
Right.
So that stood out to me.
Yeah. So they meet Natalia Grace. Natalia Grace has dwarfism.
Yes.
All they have is her birth certificate, which is written in Ukrainian.
Yes.
And Michael tells us that this is a closed adoption.
Which is also, I think, like, I know when we were going through the process, they don't like to do those as much anymore.
And a closed adoption means that the family adopting has no contact or information about the family who is giving Natalia away, for lack of a better term?
Well, usually it's the birth family. So it's like the birth mother does not want the adoptive family to have any information about her.
So, okay.
As if to say, like, I don't want any contact with this child. I don't want this child to be able to find me, whatever. Right. Closed adoption means that, like, I'm giving them to you. Most agencies like to do open adoptions, which means there is some level of contact between the birth mother and the adoptive parents.
Got it.
Yeah.
So they learned that Natalia's birthday on this birth certificate says that it's September 4th, 2003. So she's 6 years old, which is great because that's the same age as their youngest son. It'll be like they're twins. Their birthdays are like 2 months apart.
Yes.
Like amazing, right?
And we learn this as foster parents that, like, when we're going through our trainings, kids at 6 years old who are coming into the system are coming in and have usually suffered some kind of abuse. You're expecting some sort of trauma to follow a 6-year-old that's coming into the system.
Right.
No one is saying that to the Burnetts. Nobody is in any way preparing them for, like, why is this 6-year-old being placed right now? What are the circumstances?
Right. And what's interesting is that, like, it's a closed adoption, but Michael describes this scene as that they're, like, waiting for Natalia in this little room. The family that she's with comes.
Yeah.
They drop her off. They, like, overhear what's going on in the next room, even though it's a closed adoption, which doesn't make any sense.
This is all major red flags because what is happening is Natalia is not American. She's from, at least as far as we know, she's from the Ukraine, which means this family that's dropping her off at this agency is not her birth family.
No.
So she's previously been adopted by this family, which is now giving her back.
Right.
And I'm sorry, but, like, any person, especially if you're witnessing the return of an adopted child.
Yet it's a closed adoption and you can't speak to them or ask any questions.
You would have 10 million questions. Why is this kid being returned? Who are those people? What are the circumstances? Like, the fact that nobody is asking any questions here is a major red flag.
Major. And now Michael says,
Natalia's left behind. They had flown in, dropped her off, flew out.
We never spoke to them, and we are just thinking, how dare these other people give up on her?
And we've been worried that our new daughter's not going to like us. And the next thing you know, the door opens. Natalia's right there. She comes running in. She got this big smile on her face. She's happy as can be. And she's shouting, "Mommy, Daddy, Mommy, Daddy, Mommy, Daddy."
Everyone is smiling and everything's amazing.
Yeah.
And I just don't think that happened.
I don't know if any of this happened.
Right.
Because it's kind of like I don't. Once again, I did not go through traditional adoption, so I don't know the procedures. But, like, how is this agency able to receive this child and then in the same day turn around and place her with this new family? And it's now in foster care, that happens a lot. That, like, we agree to take this baby for 6 weeks and then we return the child and it goes to the next foster home. That's why so much of this feels like foster care, but it isn't.
And what I'm not, now Natalia has a very rare form of dwarfism.
Yeah.
What I'm not hearing or seeing is anything about her accessibility needs.
Right.
It is undeniable that Natalia needs a lot of medical attention and a lot of care. Like, did they make their house accessible for her?
Uh-huh.
It's weird that no one's talking about it. Like, Michael is just sitting here being like, he wants all his flowers for adopting her. But, like, did you prepare your house for her? Are you able to? It's very expensive to care for the type of dwarfism that she has. And we hear that from other doctors. Did the adoption agency, in air quotes, ask the Barnett family if they can do this? Like, this should have been a major conversation before Natalia even got there. Like, are they equipped to care for her the way she needs to be cared for?
Right.
No one is talking about that. Michael isn't even saying what they did to the house to make it accessible for her.
Yeah, it feels like as soon as the Barnetts leave with Natalia, like, they shut down. Like, it feels like they rented this office for a day to like make this transaction. And, like, do we ever hear from this adoption agency again? Do we ever meet the people at, like, what is happening?
What is happening? You know what is happening? Disney World.
Yes.
Everyone's going to Disney.
Because, like, this is like they want to, like, make magical Disney memories.
But on the first, like, we're in the adoption agency that is a house.
Yeah.
And now we're at Disney World.
Right.
Like, and also, like, are they taking care of her? Like, Natalia has trouble walking because of her disability. So, like, now they're going to make her walk all day?
I know.
Like, or are they, or I don't know. So, Michael, this could not be more perfect.
Right.
Everything's amazing. You have no idea.
Yeah.
And also, what people are saying, like, friends and neighbors, today, 2 cameras sitting down in 2022 when this was made. If I'm going to be adopted, it's going to be the Barnett.
Yeah.
Natalia hit the lottery
Yes.
with them. And I'm like, why are there 12 episodes?
Why are there 12?
Quick question.
Yeah.
Why are there 12 episodes? There's never 12 episodes of anything good.
Totally.
So,
yeah.
Please.
Yeah.
So they have this magical, wonderful Disney day.
Yeah.
Okay? They saw Goofy. It was amazing. Whoever.
I once chased Goofy into the private area that you're not supposed to go into.
Why'd you do that? It says private on it.
I know. I really wanted to meet Goofy. I know. I'm saying
He
I'm
was
the problem.
sweltering
I know.
under that costume. He needed a
I know.
cigarette. God
It's
damn
me.
it.
I'm the problem. It's me.
Hi. So that night in the hotel, Kristine is giving Natalia a bath.
Yeah.
And Michael isn't there. It's just Kristine and Natalia in the bathroom. And again, Michael is telling us all of this.
Yep.
Michael just hears Kristine start screaming because, according to Michael, Kristine sees what he says is full pubic hair on Natalia.
Now, we are going to hear this from other medical professionals as well. I believe the pubic hair is there because we hear actual doctors and nurses describe it.
What no one is saying is that there is a thing called precocious puberty. This has happened before. No one is talking about it. If you want a definition, precocious puberty is when puberty begins too early for the child who's going through it, about 6 to 9 years old.
Oh, wow.
Breast growth or a first period in girls. Pubic or underarm hair, rapid growth, acne, adult body odor. Like, precocious puberty is a thing.
Well, the other thing that is a thing is that, like, because where we're going here is that we are going to spend the next 29 episodes wondering how old she is.
Yes.
If she were actually an adult looking for a free ride to live with this family, wouldn't she have shaved her pubic hair?
Right.
Like, if she's going through the trouble to be like a kid and act like a kid to get a free, why is she going to give herself away on the first night?
And why would she want to be with a family who hasn't prepared their home for her?
Right.
Like, hello?
Yeah.
So they say, like, whatever, we're not going to judge Natalia. It's a little weird, but let's move on.
Yeah.
Like, Kristine is screaming about it, but then in the same breath, it's let's not let it ruin our trip to Disney.
Right.
Right?
Yeah.
Kind of.
But there's also, like, Google exists for everybody. If you can learn about precocious puberty today, so could have they.
Yes.
They also...
And so could this entire documentary.
Yeah. The minute they see the pubic hair, they begin trying to document on their camera phone every single thing that is awkward or wrong with this kid rather than just trying to help her.
You know that I might be mispronouncing this, but you know the like Occam's razor thing where it's like the most
obvious thing is probably the answer.
They do the opposite of that.
Exactly.
This is fucking Michael's razor.
Yeah.
Where it's like
Yes.
everything is diabolical and everything, like nothing can have any other reasonable thing. It has to be the most unbelievable evil answer.
I kept thinking about the Amityville Horror watching this. It feels like they're making up a lie of like the worst possible magnitude.
To discount an actual murder that happened to people.
And and honestly, to sell a story. Honestly, like that's what it feels like.
Yes, you're absolutely right.
You know?
So now, yeah, like you were saying, like they're now filming everything. Like when something weird happens, Kristine is the one filming it. And we hear Kristine's voice. We don't meet Kristine ever, but we get the sense that Kristine is like the director behind this camera.
There was a day I came home from work. Kristine's got a pair of Natalia's underwear. Kristine asked Natalia to tell me what's going on.
Natalia, tell Dad it happened. Okay.
And I can remember her physicalness at the time. Her hands were just out in front of her like this. She said, well, I have a period. And I've been hiding it.
We see the camera phone footage, says to Natalia Grace, tell him what you have. Tell him what you have.
Yeah.
She's trying to get Natalia, to explain to Michael, the dad, that she's been hiding, quote, dirty underwear that has period blood on it because she's been getting her period and didn't want them to know.
Another symptom of precocious puberty.
Now, this girl is answering Kristine's question into the camera. She's telling everything. You know what I mean?
Now, what is interesting to me is that, like, I'm sorry, not that I need to see it, but everything was documented except a picture of the underwear.
No, I know.
And like, and could it be precocious puberty? Absolutely. Could Kristine be making it up? Of course. And like, I thought they have footage of everything, quote, weird, but they don't have footage of the actual thing. It's just Kristine berating Natalia.
And anybody who's ever had a kid who's in trouble, who wants to get out of trouble, you're seeing that on Natalia's face. She's answering Kristine's questions. She's doing what she's told. And they're shaming her about having her period.
And Michael says, yeah, she confessed saying, I have a period and I've been hiding it. So Michael, even the word he uses is like, you asshole.
I know.
She was caught having her period.
And confessed.
And that, like, this is his point of view, right?
Yes.
So Natalia was like using socks as pads and throwing them out the window.
Yeah.
And like, there's audio of a family friend confirming the story, but really they're only repeating what Kristine had told them.
Yes.
So this is now when they start thinking, there's no way she's 6 years old.
Right.
There's no way she's 6 years old. So stunningly, even though Natalia has this incredibly rare form of dwarfism, I Googled it, about 175 cases have been reported.
In the world?
It's incredibly rare.
Wow.
Stunningly, another 6-year-old girl in driving distance has this condition.
I mean, this is the kind of thing that you should be over the moon about. That like, these kids can grow up together. They'll have shared experience.
Right. They're going to like compare and contrast to see what a real 6-year-old looks like.
Right. Under the guise of a play date. They're like, oh my God, let's bring her to this other girl so they can like be in each other's lives and know each other.
So Michael is like judging a book by its cover and immediately like, this other girl looks so different.
Well,
this girl looks so different.
I gotta say, we see a picture and she does.
She does.
Because I've been texting you all morning like, no, Natalia Grace looks like a little girl. I don't know what everyone is talking about. But then we saw this 6-year-old with this kind of dwarfism in this picture next to Natalia Grace, and Natalia Grace looks like 10 years older than her.
There are pictures of me from 15 years ago that make me look 10 years older than I am right now.
Yes. It is true. I don't know. It was the first moment that I was like, oh, maybe she isn't 6.
Yes. And
you're
going to have moments like that a lot.
Yes.
Whether it's the documentary, whether it's whatever, but like this is not the first time you're going to feel like this.
So many of them come in pictures because like I see one picture and I'm like, that's a baby.
That's a 6-year-old.
And then I see another picture and I'm like, that's a much older kid.
20.
You know?
Yeah. But Michael, the way he describes it, and again, like, we don't have footage of this either, Michael. It's just his story. So he says Natalia was caught because she can read all over their faces.
This is such bullshit.
That they're putting 2 and 2 together and that
Right.
she looks so much older than this other girl. This other girl's named Therese, by the way. We meet her.
Yeah.
So Natalia's like caught, and so Michael does this very theatric, like Natalia starts changing her face to like
nonsense.
put air in her cheeks and whatever, and it's like, you're an idiot.
No,
dude.
this is when, like, because at this point, any normal person, if you're really having these suspicions that this kid is not who she says she is, she's much older than she's saying she is, you just take her to the doctor and find out.
Right, and you were scammed, or you call the adoption agency and be like, what is going on
You do
here?
whatever you have to do. These people have unlimited resources. They got a Lambo in the driveway.
Yeah. You start answering questions and trying to solve and help the situation instead of filming everything looking for more weird things.
100%.
Like, what is going on?
Yes.
So, but now Elva.
Yes, I was just going to say, we meet Elva, who is the mother of Therese.
Mm-hmm.
And Therese is the young girl with dwarfism who's actually 6.
Mm-hmm.
And she's kind of heartbroken because she's like, she had the dream that like, oh my God, what are the chances these kids are going to grow up together? They're going to be in each other's lives. And she's saying,
immediately Natalia looks physically, it's really well developed. My first impression, I'm like, your face doesn't look like a little kid. Can't really say an adult, but at least a teenager. And I was like, huh. So, yeah, and she was very vocal talking. She can carry a conversation very well. Like, didn't have no issue. I was like, wow, they teach her very good English. A very smart kid for a 6-year-old.
The way she speaks, the words she uses, how she can hold a conversation, she didn't feel like she was talking to a 6-year-old.
Right. And then we meet Therese, who is the young woman with the dwarfism.
Right.
And
she was 6 at the time, and now
she's 14.
And Therese says to us now, Natalia looks like 18 or 20 years old in this photo. Like, she's shown the photo of the two of them.
And she's the one who would know. That's the one that we were looking at earlier where I was like, oh, she really does look older.
Yeah.
She would know because she's the one who's grown up with a face of a person with dwarfism.
Right. And this particular kind.
Yeah.
So this girl's family never reaches out again. Like,
yes.
they think in this moment, okay, she's not, like, She's not actually 6.
This is a lie.
So Teresa's mom is like, I'm not going to have some 20-year-old kid posing as a 6-year-old hanging out with my daughter.
Exactly.
And they like never see each other again.
Yeah.
But then Michael has this weird thing. Like Michael wants us to be like some bum bum bum, like some like radio play because Natalia doesn't talk much about Ukraine.
Right.
And she's like, she didn't really know much about it. And I'm like, why would she?
Why would she?
Like, what do you want her to talk about the terrain and the inches of rainfall? Like, she doesn't, whether she's 6 or 20,
Totally.
like, it's not surprising
the
that
median
she
household income.
Right, like she doesn't know like the history of Ukraine. Like
Right.
I don't know, or like what questions are you asking her about? Like you're setting her up to fail.
If Daisy and I had when Daisy was 5 or 6 or whatever, if we had moved out of New York and I was like, "What's the climate like in New York?" She would have no
Average?
idea. Right, right.
I don't know. Let me look at my Apple Watch. It says it's 42 degrees.
But it's also like,
what?
right, like more to your point from earlier. Why are we trying to gotcha her? Let's just take her to a doctor.
Right, instead of filming her and berating her and torturing her. Like, why are we like? What is going on?
There are ways to get to the bottom of this.
Right, like instead of going to a doctor, they find someone who speaks Ukrainian,
right,
and has this person start talking at Natalia,
right,
who doesn't speak perfect Ukrainian back, and Michael's like, aha.
Right.
J'accuse! Like, what is going on?
No, it doesn't make any sense.
Fucking pine cone.
Hey, leave pine cones out of this.
Which is an insult to pine cones. They're so wintry. My mom uses them in crafts. It's like, what the fuck, dude? Like, what are you doing?
I know.
Why is that? Like, you know what I'll do? I'll find someone. Like, what?
I also feel like this season didn't need to be 6 episodes long. If we just we only need one example.
Yes.
Then to take her to a doctor, we find out we do this in 90 minutes, we're done.
Don't worry, they stretched that out for 6 long episodes in season 2. So because they're like, why aren't you speaking Ukrainian? And she's like, what the? So they say Natalie stopped speaking for 4 days because once again, the operative word, she's been caught.
Right.
So then Michael's like, she's not mad. And Michael crosses his arms. He does a lot of impressions of Natalia, which I take exception to for many reasons. But like, she has disabilities.
Yes.
And eventually he'll do like voices for her. And that's fucking rude.
Yes.
So we're not going to do that.
No, this guy's a piece of shit.
He's a piece of
obviously.
shit. But he's like, and so this is why we really don't trust her. He's trying to build his case to get us on his side for what he will eventually tell. Like, it's not working, Michael.
Also, why do you need me on your side? Because the whole thing is, it's either they have this complex where they feel guilty bringing her back because that's what they watch the other family do, or they're like, let's hang on to her, get all this evidence, and sell a 12-part documentary series to Max.
Right.
Because it feels like it's one or the other.
Right. So 4 months go by, 4 months without any real conversation with a professional about how unsafe and scared they feel.
Yeah.
0. This is when they start to witness, quote, her dark side.
Yes.
And Michael starts giving all of these examples, like how Natalia was always trying to upset Ethan, and Ethan was the other 6-year-old in the house.
Yes.
And he tells these stories about how she was always trying to urinate on him in the car.
Yeah.
And like smearing poop on him in the car.
I mean, it's the kind of thing where, once again, this behavior is so disturbing, but we know that kids who do this are having real emotional problems.
She's acting out for a reason. Like, no one's asking why.
These are not normal, temper tantrums or not sharing your toys. These are things that you can point to and say, this kid has real problems.
Right. And has the family asked, what's her story in Ukraine? Like, what is going on? Like, no one is asking the right questions. They're all like, she's been caught again.
Because I just keep saying, I don't understand why, you're not back on a plane to Florida to that adoption agency demanding answers.
Right. Pick up the phone.
Or find the advocates. Even in foster care, there are advocates. There are people that you can go to and say, find the social worker and say, this is happening.
Christine runs a daycare
I know.
for kids with disabilities in their backyard.
Yeah.
If she is able to do that, you have to have passed something. You have to have paperwork saying that you can do that. Then she has the resources to call somebody.
Yes.
Do you know what I mean?
Yes, and I'm not saying it's easy. I was saying to you off mic, my younger brother went through a lot of these things, and we ended up having to find a place for him to live outside of the house.
Yeah.
It was really hard. We were very poor. My mom had to deal with all of that. But, once you get the ball rolling, there are people there to help you. If you have a kid smearing feces on another kid,
something is happening
and
happened.
It's beyond your control.
Yes.
And we're going to learn. They're told time and time again, you can't help her.
Right.
You have to put her in a place where she can be helped. child. You can't do it. And they don't listen.
Right. They hear it as like, you're on your own, kid.
I know.
And that's not what's happening.
Yes.
So Michael is starting to form this narrative of the fear everyone was feeling. Like,
Yeah.
Natalia was, she's there for 6 months now, and she's like throwing the boys' toys in the street so that they would run out and hopefully get hit by a car.
Yes.
Like this is, she's now starting to hide butcher knives under the bed.
So I want to talk about this because once again, we only hear this from Michael. And this is where, if this is true, the behavior is really escalating. Because like at one point, the mom comes home and there's like a whole stash of knives under the bed. I met foster parents in the foster care system who dealt with stuff like this. This is real. And if this is, if she's really doing this, then they really, really, really are in danger.
Yeah.
And like, this is when it all needs to be shut down. This is when you call the police that day. She is removed from the home and then she's taken somewhere where she can get the help that you cannot give her, because your family is really, truly in danger if this is true.
Especially because according to Michael, Natalia says to them, I'm going to kill you in your sleep.
Yes.
That's a quote, again, from Michael.
If
but
that
it's
is true, she needs to be removed from the home that night, and that is it. This is a kid that's been in your life for 5 months, and like, I'm sorry, like your biological family has to come first in the sense that like she really might kill them.
Now, instead of doing any of that, Kristine tells nosy neighbor Rachel about it. And now Christine's crying.
Let me tell you, she confides in nosy neighbor Rachel.
Knowing that nosy neighbor Rachel's going to tell everybody.
And completely turn her back on them. Nosy neighbor Rachel takes pride in saying, I completely cut them off, wouldn't let my kids play with Natalia, which is fine. I wouldn't let my kids play with Natalia either. But she's like judging them. Feel like I was so turned off to nosy neighbor Rachel in this moment.
Yeah, she's like, fuck that.
Yeah.
That's not the kind of drama I want.
Right.
I want to know who's cheating on who.
Right.
I want to know how much everybody makes.
Same, Rachel. But like, if somebody confides in me like this, I'm at least going to pretend to be nice about it in the moment.
Right.
Which
is like, everyone is very garbagey here.
Everyone's at 1,000.
Everyone's at 1,000, but in the wrong fucking direction.
Right. With the wrong direction. There's a kid who needs your help.
So Kristine and Michael start telling everyone about it, but like friends and family and neighbors, they say that they do call back the adoption agency, but they didn't get any help or resources. Michael says, we tried therapists, we tried doctors, and what everyone says is she's a sociopath. She knows exactly what she's doing. You are all in danger. We don't hear in this moment from any of those doctors or therapists that allegedly said this to them.
Yeah. And like, right, if that is true, like I don't know exactly what I would do, but if he is telling the truth and he's getting no help from anywhere,
from anybody,
I would take the child to a hospital, and turn her over, because your family she's telling you she's going to kill you. She's got knives under the bed. I know people who went through this. I know a man who was almost murdered in the middle of the night by his 16-year-old foster kid.
Jesus Christ.
I know him. This is real. You're in real danger.
So. Another story, 2 a.m., there's a noise in the house. They go to Natalia's room where she's like standing there with a blank look on her face.
Yep.
What are you doing, Natalia? I'm waiting. What are you waiting for, Natalia? For you to go to sleep. Why? So I can kill you.
Yes.
And again, they're like, well, time for bed, everybody.
Time to turn in.
Like,
right, I know.
What a spooky thing that happened. It's like, Michael, if you're gonna lie,
right,
you have to be better at it. Because it can't all be the most terrifying day of your life, because now you look like an idiot for not doing anything about it.
Exactly.
One terrifying story, I'd be like, oh shit.
Yeah. Yes.
10 of them over and over and over for 6 months. She's trying to kill your kids and you didn't do anything.
And like, you've got all the money in the world. Like you can find a place you can find it like a home for her to go to where she can be taken care of by the people who can take care of her.
Right. She's like standing at the foot of the bed.
And by home, I mean like a hospital.
Right. She's standing at the foot of the bed holding a knife. What are you doing? I don't know.
Yeah.
So now nosy neighbor is like, is there a killer in my neighborhood? And I'm like, not really. Killing the vibe?
Yeah.
But like, not really,
No.
Rachel. Use your head.
Yes. And this is where Michael says it might sound crazy, but we never thought about taking her back. Well,
Bullshit.
that is A, bullshit, and B, if that's true, you're stupid.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Because
there's a reason this other family brought her back. And I'm not saying abandon the child. I'm saying you have the resources to find a place to bring her.
Right. And I want to touch on this quickly because we'll get into it later, but there's a story about how Natalia tried to poison Kristine, where Natalia is putting Pledge, the cleaner, into Kristine's coffee, and that Natalia admits that she was trying to kill Kristine. Now, Jake, the genius, and I'm not saying that as a joke, like he is a genius.
Yes.
Jacob, the son, tells us, I can't stop thinking about that story. He tells us that he can't drink anything. He has like a phobia about this. He's like triggered by it a lot because he can't drink anything unless he saw it being poured and nobody else touched it.
Yeah.
Like to this day. And this is when Jacob's like, I'm ready for a break now. Boundaries up. He's ready to go. And I think that's just important to note.
Yes.
So the first episode ends with like this footage of little Natalia reading the Bible.
Natalia, what are you doing? What is it? The Bible. Why? Like what thought? Well, what happens when you have them?
Kristine's like, well, why are you reading the Bible? And she's like, to get rid of these evil thoughts. What thoughts? Hurting people.
Yeah.
Because when Natalia, according to Natalia, when she has these thoughts, she just wants to act out the thoughts. Bada bing, bada boom, end of episode 1.
But she's not lying.
Right, but she's also not sending this footage to a doctor.
Right, exactly. Like, what I'm saying is Natalia's just being honest with you.
Or she's saying what she's been rehearsed to say.
Like, what? So is that going to be a thing? Is that what we're going to learn is what's happening here?
A little.
All right. So, episode 2, Orphan or Imposter.
Who wrote these, Michael?
She's seen by a psychiatric doctor. And so at this point in time, we had already begun asking mental health professionals for help, trying to find guidance, trying to figure out the right medication. And all we're told at every turn is, nothing you can do about this. She is this. This doesn't go away. This doesn't change. And she can't stay at the stress center. She's yours. Take her home.
So again, like all the doctors have told the family, this is who she is. She's never changed. We can't help her. There's nothing to be done. Godspeed, and kicks them out of the office.
Which is like, you know, he describes taking her to what he's calling a stress center. I don't know what that is, but it sounds like a place you take a kid for an evaluation.
Mm-hmm.
I don't believe that anybody would say you have a dangerous sociopath on your hands and she's yours. Like, have a nice afternoon. Daisy's been evaluated a number of times for her dyslexia. Yeah. I know what it's like to go to a place like that. Yeah. You have doctors at your disposal and you get a full report with like 15 recommendations.
Right.
If Michael is saying that they said to her, she's a sociopath and you're all in danger and there's nothing we can do for you, he is lying.
Well,
that
again,
is not what would ever happen.
There's not a single person to confirm nor deny this.
Yeah.
This is Michael's story.
Yeah.
So I want to talk about this story because this is where we finally hear from people who were actually there other than Michael and the Barnett family.
Yes.
So it's Ethan's birthday. Ethan's the youngest. He loves cows.
Which, like, who doesn't?
So cute,
There's
right?
a lady on TikTok who has a cow as a pet.
Oh, my God.
I know.
That's amazing. They love classical music. Cows are
They
amazing.
do.
Yeah.
She says you can aggressively snuggle the cow. You know how we want to like lie on top of the bears and go, you can like lie on top of the cow and hug her.
Cute.
I know.
Oh my God. So they go to a place where Ethan can milk a cow. It's like a creamery.
Yes.
Can't stress it enough. Ethan loves cows.
I know.
Like he probably has really cute cow pajamas. Like
Totally.
it's that kind of thing.
Yes.
He's 6, like adorable, right?
Yep.
So they have to sign some paperwork because there's this electric fence. So you have to sign
a waiver.
It's a waiver saying that like, the fence is there and you can't hold us responsible if you get hurt, like normal stuff. So according to Michael, they're told this, Natalia, like a fucking cartoon villain, is like, oh, really? And I'm like, was she twirling the mustache that she miraculously grew overnight too? You idiot.
Yeah.
So first of all, the kid doesn't sign the waiver. The 18, the guardian or the adult does.
100, and they make it sound like Natalia signed
it's like,
her.
Ooh,
right, exactly.
How diabolical.
I know.
This is perfect for my master plan. Like, it doesn't make any sense.
And it's not true.
It's not true. So anyway, they're at the cow farm.
Yeah.
The cow house.
Creamery.
Yeah, but it's more fun to say
cow house.
Cow house.
I like that.
Cow's cute. So Natalia, quote, suddenly can't walk. And I'm like, Michael, that's rude. She has a disability.
Yes.
So
if you see video of her walking is very hard for her.
That is part of this very rare dwarfism.
Yes.
It affects her feet. It affects everything. It's not surprising that she's having trouble walking because I haven't heard a single thing about anything you're doing for her disability or how you're making things accessible for her.
Yes.
Is she wearing the right shoes? We will learn eventually that there are very special shoes she needs to wear. Like, we haven't heard about any of this.
Oh, God.
So finally, Michael and the boys just keep walking.
Yeah.
And they're on a hike. And I'm like, I thought you were there to milk cows.
Right.
But now you're hiking.
Right.
Fine. Kristine, very conveniently, stays behind with Natalia, and now there's all this drama. Once again, remember this. This is like a trend. Michael is not here to witness the thing that Kristine witnessed. He just hears her screaming.
Yes.
Just like at Disney World.
Yes.
So he turns around. Kristine and Natalia are in, quote, a physical altercation, and it looks like Natalia is trying to pull Kristine into the electric fence.
Right.
Because as Michael says, Natalia has arms that would make Schwarzenegger jealous. Michael, shut up.
That is so fucked.
And
we will
Kristine, and poor
learn...
Kristine is so weak with her lupus.
Right.
I know that lupus is a very serious thing.
Of course.
But you're comparing apples and oranges right now.
Right. And we will learn down the road that Natalia is not strong. People with dwarfism like this do not have a lot of strength.
No. So still, Michael's like, physical altercation. He keeps walking on the hike.
Right.
At Kristine's urging. How convenient.
Right.
He's like, Natalia's trying to kill mom again. Let's go, boys. So suddenly, it's like lights and sirens.
Yes.
The EMTs are there, the police and ambulance. Now, he like rushes back to the scene like, Michael, this makes no sense.
No. And by the way, when we get the story, when he tells it again in 2022, it's a totally
different story.
Yeah.
Now, Natalia's screaming and threatening Kristine, you fucking bitch, I'm going to kill you. I'm going to kill you, bitch. You're going to die.
Yes.
And she apparently is saying to the police, you see her? I'm going to kill her. She's a fucking bitch.
This is not what happened, fam. It did not happen.
The family wants to press charges against Natalia.
She's 6.
The cops take Natalia to the hospital. No charges are filed.
Yeah.
She gets a mental health evaluation, and she's there for like this long-term stay where she admits that she's trying to kill Kristine and the boys.
Now,
and nobody's asking why.
And no one's asking why. I am thrilled for everybody that she's finally in a long-term care facility, but we do hear that we hear from the people at the facility. Now, they are all anonymous because they're afraid for their jobs or whatever, but they leave they're interviewed over the phone.
She's not a kid. That's an adult. She was aggressive. She was very manipulative. She could be sneaky at times.
They acted like she couldn't speak English, but then she would talk to us in English, like when nobody was around. I remember she used to fight with the staff. We gave her an injection, her backside, obviously, and she was fighting. So one of the first things you notice is she does have pubic hair.
What has happened at this hospital, they confirmed that Natalia was transferred to the adult wing after they discovered her pubic hair. Again, no mention of precocious puberty.
Right.
So that's why the audio from the staff is they're stressing that she's not a kid, she's an adult, which is a quote, because they're justifying why she was moved to the adult wing of this mental health facility.
Yeah, I mean, they're saying that she was aggressive and manipulative and sneaky. She said she would pretend that she didn't speak English, but then she would talk to the staff in English when other people weren't around.
And they're saying she was very mature. She was wearing revealing clothing and talking about sex a lot.
Now, the only reason that's important is because they say that you can see that she has developed breasts.
My thing is also if someone is doing this who is 6 or a child, it's because they've experienced something that is leading to this behavior.
Yes.
Again, no one seems to be asking about this because she was always, quote, lingering around the male patients. As time went on, her true colors came out. She was offering sex for money.
Yes.
This is audio from hospital workers who are staying anonymous.
Yes.
So I think there are people who would be like, she's 20.
Right.
And she's manipulating them. But at the same time, when kids do this, there's a reason for it, and it's not good. It's because they come from some kind of abuse.
Of course. And so finally, Beth Karras is here.
Finally.
I said that took too long. Beth, we need you.
Beth.
That took too long.
Because after a month, Natalia gets kicked out of the hospital because she was, quote, propositioning men.
Yeah.
That's the official reason from an official hospital.
Yeah, and once again, we're told this from Michael, but you would think that they would transfer her to another hospital. When you're being kicked out of one hospital, the only option isn't just go back to the family who can't care for you.
But also, as a 6-year-old in the adult wing with these men.
I know.
They put her in yet another vulnerable place. Why is an adult... I don't care if she's 18 or 6.
Yes.
Why is she with all of these adult men?
How do they have access to her?
What is going
possible?
on?
Yes,
and if she is acting promiscuous or whatever, then make sure that she doesn't get herself into any trouble or something bad doesn't happen to her because she's going through. It doesn't matter how old she is.
It is weird when we get these mental health doctors talking about their patients as though it's their first day on the job.
It's the 1950s.
But isn't this what you deal with all day every day? You're dealing with, if it's not this problem, it's something else. You should know how to handle this.
It's terrifying.
Yeah.
So Beth Karras is here to go through the paperwork and try to make some sense of all this.
And thank God.
What hooked me in this case was just the strange story. She's had various diagnoses, the last one being sociopath. But in my opinion, there are questions, a lot of questions with this case. The fundamental rule in all investigations is that you follow the facts wherever they may lead you. There are some things that just don't sit right with me. If she's actually threatening to kill them, You gotta go to the police.
But she said the fundamental rule in any investigation is you follow the facts. And she says there are some things that just don't sit right with me. If she's threatening to kill the family, you have to call the police.
Right.
And Michael and Kristine had never called the police.
Now, how many times have we been in situations where something is happening and you just need to make a record of this?
Yes.
So that when something goes to 100,
yes,
and people ask, well, did you tell anyone? Did you make a record of this? Who did you tell? That's why you make a record of it. And they're not doing that. They're just telling their nosy neighbors.
Which doesn't make any sense because they're talking about it as though they are in mortal danger every single day. But the police do get involved.
Thanks to Nosy Neighbor.
Thanks to Nosy Neighbor Rachel, who called CPS, the Department of Children's Services or whatever. Mm-hmm. And good for her. Somebody needed to call the Department of Children's Services, and they come to inspect the house, and they bring a cop.
So it's March 2012. The cops go over. And they file a report of child neglect of Natalia.
We find out why. Because what had happened was, this is so, I cannot handle this story.
I know.
Michael says to us, Kristine and Natalia were having one of their who are you fights.
Right.
As though that's a thing.
Kristine made it a thing.
Right. So Kristine is trying to get Natalia to tell her about her past. Tell me about who you knew in the Ukraine. Who have you been with in this country?
She wants her to write a list of all the people she knows, all of her connections and contacts.
And when Natalia doesn't do it, Kristine decides that she's going to take away Natalia's bed and make her sleep on the back porch like a fucking animal.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know how old Natalia is. I don't think she's 6. I don't know. I don't care if she's 30.
Yeah.
You are kicking her out of the house to make her sleep outside in the cold on the fucking porch.
In March in Indiana.
You are
You're a fucking
woman
monster.
should be in the sociopath is her.
Yes,
That is
100%.
the
She's a
sociopath.
nightmare. So Natalia's out there for 3 hours.
Crying, screaming. I mean, this is absolute torture.
And
I cannot understand
It
this.
is torture. And they live on not like a cul-de-sac, but their neighbors are right there.
Yes.
No one heard her screaming in the middle of the night
Apparently,
to go help her.
Rachel did, and that's why she called CPS, I'm thinking.
Thank God. But after 3 hours.
3 hours.
Michael lets Natalia inside.
3 hours. Think about that, fam. That's how long this episode is.
Give me a break. 3 fucking hours. So this Detective Klaus guy is here. He does an investigation, and then he comes back and he has all this paperwork on Natalia.
Yes.
And so the paperwork says that Natalia told him that she was advised to lie and say she was a child so that she could get adopted. She was told that her birthday would now be September 4th, 2003, and that she was 4 years old.
Right. And that was what she was told to get her out of Ukraine.
Right.
Which very well could be true. You know what I mean? It could be that, we need to make you look younger so that you'll be more appealing to, a family in America.
And Ben Karras says, sometimes they'll do that a couple years.
Yes.
Right? Instead of 11, they'll say they're 8 or
Yes.
something.
Yes.
Ben Karras says in international adoptions, this is something that happens.
Yep.
Now, the cop says, the Detective Klaus guy who came after she was outside for 3 hours, says, look, based on my investigation, all of the paperwork you have for Natalia is bogus. Here's a card for a lawyer. You need to call them because my advice is that you need to correct her age.
Yes.
Now, Michael is like, what? I never considered that.
Exactly.
Re-aging her? Whatever do you mean?
I will say he also says another thing, though, about the picture. He shows Natalia Grace the picture of her when she was came to the country when she was 4 or whatever. And the Natalia Grace now does not know who that's a picture of, does not recognize herself, which made me be like, is this not even the same person?
Right.
And where is that other little girl?
And where is this paperwork from the cop? The cop's not here because he's dead.
Right.
So we can't even talk to him.
Right.
But where is the proof of this? Give me a slow zoom on his paperwork.
Right.
What is this?
And we learn later that this cop is dead. The implication being none of this ever happened.
Right. And he can't confirm nor deny. And so here we are.
So Michael was just I'm going to make up all this stuff about the fake documents and how old she actually is and say that this cop told me that it was his recommendation that I go to this attorney.
Right. Because that will, in Michael's mind, absolve him.
Right.
So now the new focus is they have to prove that Natalia is an adult because it's the only way to protect themselves and their family. Because no one's helping them. All the doctors are saying, you're on your own, kid. Godspeed. The cop is even saying you have to re-age her. She's not who she says she is. The Barnetts are backed into a corner,
and
if you were to believe Michael.
I gotta tell you, this, it just isn't how it would happen. It's just not how, there would be assistance for them. There was assistance for my mother, and there was assistance in the foster care system when I was a part of it. This is not what would have happened.
Now, Michael explains to us, because it was a closed adoption, they can't get any information about Natalia's birth family or anything whatsoever.
And that's true.
Until a secretary calls them back like she's fucking Deep Throat.
Yeah.
I can't tell you where she's from, but there's a clue in her luggage. Michael, what are you talking about?
I know.
And he's like, so I went in and I rifled through her luggage and her backpack, and he finds an ID tag.
But this must be real because we find out that the family that dropped her off at the adoption agency when they were there to pick her up are Harry and Diane Ciccone. As far as we know, no relation to Madonna.
No relation, but I'll tell you something later.
Oh, really?
I think they're fans.
Oh, really?
I'll save it for when, I don't know what, this is all a blur because I've watched all 12 of these about 7 times. I think they might be fans. I don't know.
My God.
So now we get some more information, and it's 2020 and we're in Ukraine, right?
Yes.
Because the records say she was born in Ukraine and was at an orphanage very soon after that. So Natalia's birth mother is named Anna Gava.
Yeah.
And Anna's sister is Tatiana.
Yeah,
and there's this investigator that goes to Ukraine.
He goes and finds the home where Natalia Grace's birth mother lives. And she's not home, but her sister is. And he's just saying, we got to talk about this girl in America. And the sister says, let me call Anna. She's her actual mother. Let me get her on the phone. They get the actual birth mother on the phone. The birth mother wants nothing to do with this. And she's screaming, I've been going through this for 17 years. No one's ever going to leave me alone.
And you're like, did she say 17?
Beth Karras gives a...
Yeah. She's like, let's do a little bit of math.
Yeah.
She said 17 years in 2020, which means that Natalia really was born in 2003.
Oh.
That's what Beth Karras is saying.
Oh.
That the mother saying that 17 years in 2020, it was 17 years.
Got it.
So the mother saying that, Beth Karras is like 2020 minus 17 is 2003.
So that means when she came to them in 2009, she would have been 6. And she looks like she's 6.
Right.
Until you put her next to the other kid with the same kind of dwarfism.
Which
now I'm the problem.
You are the problem.
Now I'm the problem.
It's you. So now, according to Michael, the family she was with before the
Fam,
Ciccones...
are you still with us? What's going
You wanted it. We rearranged it. Natalie and I rearranged the entire calendar.
I know.
I spent my entire weekend.
I'm telling you, this is really fast. I mean, I'm riveted. I'm in hook, line, and sinker.
I'm so glad.
Okay.
So, according to Michael, the family Natalia was with before they came to the Barnetts was, quote, literally trying to give her away. Like, hey, you have kids? No, you want mine? But bump. Like that is what Michael's saying.
Yeah, but it's kind of not far from the truth when we find out.
And he says...
Within 6 months of getting her, they were taking her to little people conventions and trying to give her away under the table. Hey, you're a couple. You don't have a kid. You want one? Here's one right here. We found 2 different families that they tried to give her to. One, they gave her to under the table for 4 months. I mean, extortion demand of $30,000. Family didn't have it. They returned Natalia back.
This family found 2 families.
Yes.
This is all before the Barnetts, but it is with the family that Natalia was with before.
Yeah.
They offered Natalia to 2 separate families.
Yes. The family that had Natalia before the Barnetts literally did, and we're going to meet both families right now. How is this legal?
I don't know.
Because it seems like this shady adoption agency must be involved. It seems like this shady adoption agency is not a real adoption agency, and they are helping sell Natalia. That's what it feels like is happening.
Yes. So Judith Irving is here. And
that is actual human trafficking.
It is. She is introduced as Natalia's prospective adoptive mother.
Right.
She got an email from Little People of America saying...
She is a little person herself.
Yeah, saying, we're looking for a home for Natalia. And Judith fell in love with the photo. She's meant to be with me.
Videos and photos, yes.
Now, all Judith needs to do is pay the legal fees, and this other family will allow her to adopt Natalia. Those fees are $25,000.
And just to be clear, this is the family that ends up dumping Natalia at the adoption agency the day the Barnetts show up to pick her up.
So Judith is like, look, this breaks my heart, but I don't have the $25,000. It's way too much for me financially. And
it also feels shady. What are you talking about?
Right. And she's like, in my heart, she's the daughter I never had. And they wouldn't work with her on the price, which is so fucking gross to say.
They are literally selling. Who vetted Judith Irving to make sure that she was a fit parent? They are selling this child.
And there's no conversation about okay, you can pay the legal fees in installments.
Right.
We know you really love her and want to give her a good home. None of that. It's $25,000 now, or we're off to the next family.
Right.
So they're off to the next family.
Yeah.
Robin and Dwayne are next. Same exact thing. They heard from Little People of America.
They are also little people.
And the Ciccones want medical expenses covered now, too. Not just legal fees.
Right. And so, Dwayne...
what is going on?
Dwayne and Robin are also all in. They think that she looks like a sweet kid. They want to they want to help. But they're like, this feels weird that they're asking us to pay for stuff. So we're not paying, the medical bills. And they finally move past that.
Because they're going to eventually take all those medical bills on if and when they adopt Natalia.
And then they're like, but we do want to get her a mental health evaluation. Because, why are you trying to give her back a year after after you adopted her yourself.
Right.
And the Chaconi's say no, it's a deal breaker.
That's another red flag. Like, what's going on here?
So now Dwayne and Robin drive to, they're like, all right, we're going to give this one last shot. We're going to drive to New Hampshire where this family lives and meet Natalia and just like see how it goes.
And according to them, it's like spooky from the get-go.
Yeah.
Because they describe it as Camp Crystal Lake.
Oh, and it looks like, we see a picture, it looks like it.
Again, there is no accessibility at all for Natalia.
Right.
Which is bizarre. And they're like, we have really bad vibes from this whole thing. Like from Diane, from Natalia, from all of it. That's what they say.
Diana's the mom that's trying to like, unquote, unload Natalia.
And they're like, they were all lying from the very beginning.
Yeah.
Like nothing made sense to these people.
And like, they just get the worst vibes and they leave and Dwayne's like, we're not adopting that kid. I don't know what's going on, but I got like an evil feeling when I don't know if it's Natalia. I don't know if it's the mother. I don't know what's going on. This is not good. We're not doing it. And they call Diane, the one who's trying to sell Natalia, and tell her no. And Diane loses her shit.
Now, Michael and Kristine Barnett meet Robin and Dwayne on an adoption message board.
Yes.
Because Dwayne, who got bad vibes, posted about their experience with Natalia. And so Michael's like, wait, we adopted her.
Yes.
I know exactly who you're talking about. And that is how they meet. And like Robin and Dwayne could have said that's not how it happened because they're here.
Right.
So they're not saying that didn't happen.
Yeah.
But these two are also saying that the Barnetts are liars.
Michael and Kristine Barnett, I mean, they lied a lot. They will do anything to get what they want. They'll lie about Natalia being violent. You just don't know the true Barnetts.
When Kristine started telling us all these crazy stories, we thought, wait a minute. I mean, she's tiny.
Yeah.
All these stories don't make sense. And so we started figuring it out that everything Kristine told us wasn't the truth.
And they're saying that Michael and Kristine will say and do anything to get what they want. And they got super bad vibes from the Barnetts from the beginning.
Like, what is going on? This kid just needs a home.
Right. And they said, like, from the very beginning, Kristine was trying to get us on her side. And it's like, what side?
So I think what they're saying is that, like, Dwayne and Robin, the little people who went to Camp Crystal Lake and decided they weren't going to take the kid, Mike and Kristine Barnett, the current parents of Natalia Grace, want a justification for returning her or getting rid of her. And so they're trying to get us on their side by saying she's bad, she's evil, she's going to get, like, I just don't understand what is happening.
I don't either.
Why don't the Barnetts just do the right thing and turn her over to a hospital or something? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, I don't understand why they need people on their side.
Why it's like a winning or losing thing.
Exactly.
Or optics or all this bullshit. Like, it doesn't make any sense.
Right.
But it turns out that the Barnetts have like a rap sheet on them. And they've been lying about it.
Right.
So Beth Karras says that they were self-reporting all of like their what's going on in their lives or whatever.
In order to be able to adopt a kid, you have to have a home study, and they ask you a series of questions. And one of the questions, we got the same question, was, has there been sexual abuse, any domestic violence, whatever in your home?
Right.
And you have to answer yes or no. If you answer yes, you're not going to pass the home study.
But why are those the questions that you're allowed to self-report on?
Well, I guess it depends on where, like, because what Beth Karras is saying is that they just like took yes for an answer and didn't go and check on it. And I'll tell you the sad truth is they need homes. They don't want to go and find the truth and then disqualify you because they need placements.
Oh my God.
I know.
Oh my God.
You know.
We got to burn it all down and start over.
I know.
So
I know.
Here's what they've been lying about or hiding or whatever.
Yes.
2003, a domestic violence report was filed, and it's Kristine hitting Michael and then Michael putting her in a headlock. Like, they were just fighting on the front lawn.
But we see a picture of Kristine and she looks pretty beat up.
Yeah. And the whole neighborhood knew that shit was bad between them.
Yeah.
Like, they would fight on the front lawn. Like, Kristine would be berating and degrading Michael in front of everyone, calling him a jerk and a
Nosy
loser.
neighbor Rachel's like, I felt bad for Michael because she would just like make fun of him in the front yard.
I mean, we'll eventually hear the way Kristine talks to people. Like,
really?
It's bad. Like, and I am not, don't you get it twisted for a second. I am not defending or saying anything nice about Michael Barnett right now. But when you hear her, you're like, oh my God, like she's not like a real person almost. Like the anger and the rage and the voice. It's like, it's the way she screams at him. And she's also not here, so I don't know.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. So, yeah, they're not the perfect. Remember at the top of this, we are I don't want to be too Norman Rockwell about it, but no. They were not perfect at all.
Yeah.
The best part about the family is that Jacob's a genius. And I'm sure the other two kids are great, but they're not here, so I don't know.
Totally,
but I know that Jacob's great.
Yeah.
That's all I got.
100%.
So let's go back to the electric fence incident, right, with the cows, because we actually have witnesses.
Yes.
So Christopher Michael is here. He worked with the cows. And he's like,
So I was under the impression that when we got down there that there was going to be a little person who was distressed. When we get down there, the caretaker seemed to be the one who was the emotional one of the two, and the little person seemed to be more calm and rational about the whole situation. The biggest thing I remember is thinking that if I had to deal with the adult caretaker, that I would be really frustrated just because it felt like she seemed to be making the situation worse.
And the guy that was actually there was like, no, the mother was the nightmare and the child was very calm.
He goes, my biggest takeaway was what a nightmare Kristine was. He goes,
Yeah.
if I had to deal with her, I'd be real frustrated because she was making it all worse.
Yes.
We also meet Mark, who tells us the biggest bombshell of all. He's like, by the way, that fence wasn't even on that day.
Exactly.
No one was in any danger at all, and everybody knew that.
Yes.
What are you talking about? Like, Kristine would have been told that immediately?
Yes.
Like, so it was like, was it Kristine's eyes that lit up like a Christmas tree to try to start some shit?
Exactly. But they also do this brilliant thing where they play Michael's interviews side by side.
Yeah.
And in 2019, when he tells the story of the creamery incident with the electric fence, it's all the detail. He saw every single thing. She was trying to kill him. And in 2022, when he tells the story, he's like, I wasn't there. I didn't see it. We were a mile and a half down the hike. I wouldn't know. I can only go by what Kristine told me.
Michael is the most unreliable narrator we've met maybe ever.
Yes.
And this is what happens when your life is a lie
Yeah.
and you lie so many times. He didn't even think, now what did I say in 2019?
Exactly.
He's been lying so consistently to everybody that whatever lie he's telling at the time, he believes.
Yeah.
So he believed it in 2019 and he's believing it now.
And the theory is the reason they told this horrible story about Natalia Grace is because they were just trying to get rid of her.
Right.
They were hoping that the cops would come and the hospital would take her away and they would never see her again. There is a right, proper way to do that.
Yeah. And now Judith, the one who really wanted Natalia, but she couldn't afford the $25,000 like entry fee or whatever. She's like, yeah, hi, real quick, little person here. That kind of extreme violence isn't possible for someone with the condition that Natalia has.
There's no way she could have been trying to drag her towards the fence. We don't have that kind of strength.
She said, even me as like a full grown adult, like I couldn't actually harm another person without a gun.
Yes.
So the story doesn't make sense at all. Like there was no danger.
No.
There was no danger.
She's like, we're full of joint issues. Like we don't have muscle strength.
Right. So it's 7 years after this electric fence incident that never happened. And it's 2019 now. And Natalia is doing a forensic interview by a member of the prosecution team. And we see it.
We had gone to a farm and we all signed a waiver or whatever. And we was on a trail, but I didn't have good shoes. So my feet started really hurting and they was bleeding. And I threw up because I didn't eat for like a while. So I sat down, she sat down next to me, and she was like, Natalia, you need to get up. I was like, my feet hurt. So, like, I was trying to get up, and she fell, and I fell. And then I guess she thought I was trying to put her into the electric fence or whatever.
So Natalia tells the story of like, I'm sitting down because I'm in pain because my feet are hurting. Kristine is trying to like force me to get up and like pull me off the ground. And at this moment, they both fall because it's awkward because Natalia's like, no, I'm in pain. I'm not getting up. Kristine's like, fucking get up, whatever. They both fall. And Natalia's like, yeah, Kristine ended up a little too close to the fence, which by the way, wasn't even on.
Right.
And Kristine flipped out. And the episode ends with Natalia being like, I don't know what to tell you. I wasn't trying to hurt these people.
Right.
But now I'm sitting here being like, Natalia, it's okay to admit that if you were doing that because they were torturing you.
Yeah.
So like, what's to say that if like the only way out is to maybe scare them or act out in some way or keep knives under your bed because you don't know what Kristine's going to do to you? Like, I don't know.
Because I'm very much in that place of like, I don't know what's real. Like if she's like hiding knives and standing in the middle of the room saying, I'm waiting for you to go to sleep so I can kill you.
Right.
But is that true or not?
And is she doing that because Kristine has been threatening her and making her sleep outside?
Right.
And not feeding her? And her feet hurt because there's no accessibility for Natalia in the house. Like, what is going on?
Oh my God. Oh my God, fam, thank you for listening to episode 1 of our coverage of the curious case of Natalia Grace.
It's one of those situations where there's so much to say, yet we're speechless, kind of.
Yes,
you know,
totally
like there's
speechless.
so much, but we just can't find words, so we just make noises into the microphone.
Yeah. Yes, and so all 6 episodes of our coverage are available right now and ad-free over on the Patreon. You get the whole thing start to finish. It's also where there are over 450 full ad-free bonus episodes covering everything from Serial and The Staircase and Making a Murderer to like the modern stuff like Love Has Won, The Cult of Mother God, Twin Flames. We're doing The Jinx Part 2 as soon as it's all come out.
Yeah, Quiet on Set. We have a lot that we've done and a lot coming up, so stay tuned for all of it.
Never a dull moment. So it's truecrimeobsessed.com. Click on the Patreon link or just go to patreon.com/truecrimeobsessed and you get it all right away. You can binge it the second you sign up.
Yeah, we hope you like this little surprise drop for you. Surprise.
All right, we love you.
We love you.
All right, bye.
Bye.